We've got to talk about uranium stocks. We got to. That was the hot story on Friday. Uranium stocks up 15 to 25% in a day. We made a killing with our uranium positions that we got in weeks ago. Perfect. What's the story behind this? Where are we going next? And what are my top 5 favorite uranium stocks for the rest of the year? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks, and month. What a party in the uranium sector. Incredible. But before we start talking about uranium, some housekeeping. We broke above the 2,000 subscriber mark. Thank you very much. For us, that's a great deal. You know, we're still a small operation. We're getting there, but that's great. And thank you everybody for subscribing. And if you're not subscribed yet, please do me a favor. Just hit the subscribe button. It takes you a second. You will get all the notifications for the new videos and the great content we put out here for free. You would have been in the uranium stocks at the perfect time. I recommended getting in weeks ago. And we will go through some of the stocks that I recommended, and they look great. But let's start with the uranium stocks market overall. What's the story behind this, uranium stock explosion? Probably not the greatest wording when it comes to nuclear energy, I agree, but you get where I'm going with this. So there was a report by Reuters that came out late Thursday night. So Friday was the first time the market could react to it. That Trump will sign an executive order that will ease regulatory requirements for the approval of new nuclear reactors in the US and also support uranium mining and the build out of uranium enrichment capacities, which the US desperately needs. That's where the real problem is. So by this executive order, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the NRC, now must decide about a new nuclear reactor within 18 months. That's really good, right? Also, by this executive order, the US government will support uranium mining in the US. And again, as I said, enhancing and expanding is it barely exists right now, the uranium enrichment capabilities in the US. So all this hit a market that was still very much, maybe not oversold is the right word, but nobody was invested in it, right? Everybody, if you look at the URA here, which is for the uranium miners, after this really, really rough 2024, we basically went chop sideways, and the fall and the winter, up until the spring this year, just the bottom fell out of uranium stocks. Everybody threw in the towel. Nobody was invested anymore, right? So even this up move that we saw was not on big volume, right? Not that many people were talking about it. You look at the mainstream media, nobody was really talking about uranium coming back. These type of things. By the way, this leads me to a question I got that I hear quite often, and that is, you were spot on, Daniel, with your recommendation about the uranium stocks a few weeks ago. Did you know this was coming? And the honest answer is no. And I think 95% of the people that would answer this question should also say no. There are always a few people that know a little more, but most of us mortals, we don't. But what's very interesting, if you follow the chart patterns, very, very, now let me rephrase this. Unusually often, you get in early and then something like this happens. And why is this? Because the chart and the price action is the one thing that the entities that do know more cannot hide, right? They can hide the news flow, right? They can basically stop talking about a sector until they open their position. A lot of times, if you're in the market longer, they actually talk negative about a sector to get retail to sell it so they can gobble up the stocks, build their own positions. Then all of a sudden, surprise, they come up with reports that everything is great. But in the price action, they cannot hide it. They have to get in the market, they have to buy the stocks. So that's why charts tell the truth, right? I knew something would be coming. We all knew something would be coming with the Trump administration. The US, we know the long-term fundamentals are the best in the commodity sector for uranium by far. So we knew something would be coming, but I didn't know it was coming on Friday. But if we are positioned already, then we are looking great. Now, the reason why we popped this much was not only that all of a sudden people jumped on board that weren't invested before. It was also because we got a big time short squeeze, right? We got a big time short squeeze, and that is kind of out of the market, and that's why everything popped 20%. And let's face it, the executive order is great, but does it change something short term in the uranium market? Let's say for 2025? No, not really, right? So that's why this pop, it is basically short squeeze related, and it also, we're now pulling a lot of positive expectations forward that maybe shouldn't be there. So what does that mean? We're looking good, right? There's no denying that long term. If we draw in all the uptrends, you see that with this monster pop by Friday, we broke all of them. Now we are, here is January 2nd. We are positive for the year with the uranium miners. Everything looks good, but you look down here at the RSI. Here we go. Look how high we are, right? We are due for a pullback. And this also happens a lot in the summer. The summer is kind of the dull period for uranium. There's not much action going on in the spot market, right? The utilities usually don't buy in the summer. They wait till the fall, the big nuclear conference that you're probably aware of. That's in London, and usually that's where they make the big deals. So the summer is kind of dull. I can see us pulling back in uranium quite a bit. Also, because as I was saying earlier, nobody's really invested in it. So now that we see more improving fundamentals, and we'll get to another big one in a second, bigger money, smart money, institutions want to get in on the sector. So they would like to see the prices go down a little bit so they can get in cheaper. So I could see like a summer month period that's kind of dull, and that is buying opportunities galore for the uranium sector. No doubt about it, because Trump is following through on his promise to ease regulation, not only with this executive order. We have seen a uranium project in Utah that basically is getting fast-tracked for environmental permits. This is the first time we've seen this in the US. So it's happening. You got to hand it to the Trump government on this one. No doubt. All right. So let's go through my favorite 5 uranium stocks. Some of them you already know. Most of them will start. UEC, one of my favorites, just broke out of the downtrend. It had been an underperformer for a while. This one has a chance to run. If we go back to this double support zone, anything here in this area of around 570 buying opportunity. You know what I like. I like producers or advanced developers that are near production in the US. Those are my favorites. All right? UEC, stand out in that regard. Energy fuels. You know energy fuels, one of my favorite for a long time. Again, broke out on Friday, right? And this is what I mean when I say we had a short squeeze. If you look at this chart, right, you say, yeah, okay, it could go up, but we really didn't go anywhere. The shorts didn't have to cover by Thursday, right? There was still a possibility that, yeah, maybe we'll go up here and then we'll go down if there's no news flow, right? The overall trend was still negative. Well, now we broke back above this support zone right here. Love energy fuels on weakness because they have the rare earth component to them as well. Third one, Denison Mines. I think I recommended it about here, somewhere in this vicinity. So we're up 15-20% on this one, and we're gonna hold on to this. This will be one of the most interesting and hottest uranium stocks for the rest of the year. Why? By the end of the year, Denison Mines expect a decision for the permits for their massive Phoenix project. This is a big one. This is considered one of the best uranium projects overall in the market. If they get these permits, that is the trigger that will get more investors in, and we have a lot of room to run in this chart, right? First price target would be this gap fill. That's at $2, so this has a massive upside, but overall, look at this. What we're really talking about is this long-term uptrend that has been going on since 2020, and as you can see, we are at the bottom part, right? Now, if we get the permits for Phoenix, that changes everything. Construction is supposed to start first quarter next year if they get the permits, so positive news flow is happening. We know that the stock market likes to anticipate developments 6 to 12 months, so that means by the second half of the year, things could really start to move for Denison Mines. Super interesting stock. That's number 3. Then we always obviously have to talk about Oklo, the crazy uranium stock, right? Look at this pop. We're in it. Perfect. However, we're pretty much maxed out now. If we look at this, right? Look at the RSI. We're massively overextended. We had a region actually above this where we had a big pullback. We filled both of these open gaps on Friday. Got a nice little 2-for-1 action. And now we need to see what happens next when the US markets open again with Oklo. If it can push above 50, there's a saying with momentum stocks that it tends to go to the next round number. So meaning 50 gives off 60, 60 gives off 70, right? And so on and so on. So we need to look, does it push above 50? Can it hold above 50? Then we'll go to 60. If not, I recommend taking some profits. Man, we're sitting on some nice profits because a correction is coming, but this stock is getting hot. So this is my favorite trading stock, right? So now we're at 4. And then I have a couple of stocks that I'll introduce next time on the junior explorer side, which not a biggest fan of. I like Sky Harbor Resources, as you know, but they haven't really done anything. And that's the big point that I've been trying to make and told you about for a long time, right? This is a producer, advanced developer story. This is not an explorer story, especially not if they're in Canada. Now that'll change down the road when the uranium bull market starts to run, advances. If we talk baseball terms, we're probably like bottom of the second inning, right? So the explorers, they usually come in like 7th inning, and then things get really, really hot, and you make a lot of money with them. But right now, we need a different pitcher on the mound for our team, right? And this pitcher is producers, advanced developers in the US, preferably. So I like the stock, but this one is one you need to have a lot of long-term viewpoints on this one, but promising. I also like BWX Technologies, as you know, great pop, great chart, looks fantastic, right? Little similar to Denison. Look at this. We just regained the long-term uptrend since 2024. Downtrend is broken, looks excellent, right? Next price target is this gap fill here at 127. If you get this, and I'm pretty positive you're going to get a chance to get this one around 115 to maybe 111. If things go really wild, they'll close this gap, but it's more of a breakaway gap, so I don't think this one is going to be filled. 107, but the lows are in. The lows are clearly in for this stock, right? And we're back in the uptrend. Perfect. So that is it for today. Those are my top 5 favorites. I have a couple of more that I'll introduce in the coming days and weeks. Uranium market. We know the long-term fundamentals are super bullish. Now we're starting to get some positive news flow going. That's what we need, right? To get positive momentum and a positive narrative going back for the uranium sector, which is still massively oversold as far as nobody's invested in it. So that's our chance. I recommend holding Oklo. Let's see if 50 gives us 60. If not, take the profit. BWX Technologies, if you have it, I would recommend staying in it. But obviously, as you know, as always, you need to make your own decisions. And that's it for today. If you like this content, hit the subscribe button. It would really help us out. It takes you 1 second and you get 30, 40, 50 minutes of content for free that usually We cover things here that are not covered on all the other mainstream channels that talk about the NASDAQ and the MAX 7. You can get that anywhere. We talk about the gold miners. We talk about uranium miners. We talk about everywhere we can make money. That's easy money, stress-free money that not everybody's talking about. That's it for today. Have a great start to the week. Bye-bye.